Now, drugs and surgery are both highly effective and immediate methods for pain reduction. However, they are not the only solutions. For instance, we already learned about the gate control theory, which suggests our bodies have built-in mechanisms for reducing pain. Thus, counter-irritation can be an effective way to temporarily reduce pain. By irritating the sensations in the same or different parts of the body, it counters the pain signal that is sent to the brain. This method also serves as a way of redirecting neural tension to a new location, providing a form of distraction. Now, counter-irritation works moderately well for acute, low-level pain, such as scrapes, bruises, or small cuts. However, the stimulation and inhibitory processes of counter-irritation are easily overridden by greater pain signals and are not very long-lasting. Once you stop pinching yourself, the pain signals are free to come back full strength. However, what if there was a way to shut down pain responses long-term without having to take drugs or get surgery? One promising avenue of research is on biofeedback. First, a question. If you were going to quicken your heart rate, how would you do it? Now, what could you do to lower your heart rate? For the quicken, you might have thought of physical things like doing jumping jacks or shouting, but you might also list psychological behaviors such as anticipating the amount of work you have left to do tonight. For lowering your heart rate, you might have thought of deep breathing exercise, or thinking about ocean waves lapping on a pristine beach. Okay, but my real question for you is, how do you know these behaviors will affect your heart rate? Well, you've probably been in situations where you noticed that after exercising or getting in arguments, you felt your blood pounding, but when you were feeling calm, your heart rate seemed more relaxed. You have learned from prior experience. This process of learning how your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors can alter your physiology is the basis for biofeedback theory. Biofeedback refers to a mind-body technique that involves using visual or auditory feedback to gain control over involuntary bodily functions such as blood flow, blood pressure, and heart rate. In biofeedback, patients will hook up to some device that measures the salient physiological outcome, such as blood pressure, and makes that outcome highly visible. The patient then attempts engaging in efforts to meet the task criteria, such as raising, lowering, or maintaining blood pressure. Of course, new biofeedback patients may have no idea how to affect their blood pressure. However, as the task progresses, changes will inevitably occur, and the patient can begin to observe and associate specific thoughts, feelings, and behaviors with specific changes in the physiological outcome. For instance, your mind begins wandering to thinking about the pile of dirty dishes your roommate hasn't cleaned, and then suddenly you notice the blood pressure tracker has gone up. From this, you can deduce that those kinds of thoughts led to that kind of change. The whole process is initially trial and error, but eventually leads to learned associations. Some of you may have noticed that this process relies on operant conditioning, by rewarding some behaviors and not others. While previous research on biofeedback has mainly focused on heart rate and blood pressure, growing research demonstrates these skills are transferable to pain management. That is, if you can learn how to control your heart rate and blood pressure with just your mind, then you will also gain some power over your experience of pain. Cool, right? Biofeedback research has explored the effectiveness for patients with numerous chronic pains, including rheumatoid arthritis, chronic back pain, and migraines. Unfortunately, the process of learning biofeedback doesn't come quickly and can be very time-consuming. Equipment for monitoring physiological processes can be expensive as well, though modern technologies such as smartwatches and fitness trackers have made this process more accessible. Biofeedback is also a rather new field due to technological limitations until recent years. That being said, each year numerous new studies emerge and the field is growing exponentially. Another effective method for reducing pain is through relaxation techniques. These are effective by engaging the parasympathetic nervous system to reduce stress response and tension in areas of the body that might be experiencing pain. Relaxation also helps to deconstrict blood vessels, allowing for greater flow of physiological resources for healing and natural pain management. Growing research has also demonstrated that certain relaxation behaviors can lead to release of endorphins, similar to exercise, as well as dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure response. This relaxation is particularly useful when paired with other techniques, given the reduced stress allows for greater adoption of mental and physical coping processes. For example, hypnobirthing is a growing trend among doulas and midwives for teaching meditative and relaxation techniques to help loosen muscles and ease breathing for easier and less painful deliveries. One downside to relaxation, however, is that it has only demonstrated moderate pain reduction, and is often best when paired with other treatments such as low-dosage pain medications. That being said, some research suggests that more intense relaxation can be even more beneficial to pain. I am specifically referring to full hypnosis.
What happens if you need an operation, but for psychological or medical reasons you can't or won't have an anaesthetic? Well, incredible as it sounds, some people opt for hypnotism. So how does it work? I'm off to find out.
At Birmingham University, Dr. Stuart Derbyshire studies pain, and he's about to inflict some on me.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically put this heat pad onto your arm, and what you will feel is you'll feel very rapid pulses of heat.
Ooh! Ooh! Pain is both mental and physical. What happens is when the pain receptors, called the nociceptors in my arm, are activated, a signal goes via my spinal cord to my brain, and it's in my brain this mysterious thing we call pain occurs, and that's when I go ouch.
To find my pain threshold, Stuart racks up the temperature until it really hurts.
And let's see how this one feels.
Ooh! That was actually...
Yes.
That wouldn't hit my threshold, I think. Now, actually, that was very painful, and I can still feel it in my skin. Now, normally, if I was going to have an operation, I would have a drug which would block the action of the pain. What Stuart is going to attempt to do in the moment is hypnotise me as though I had had an anaesthetic. I find it incredibly hard to believe that that will work, but we'll find out.
Okay, Michael, I'd just like you to sit back in your chair. So just allow yourself to feel the tension draining as you relax. Your body. You feel the weight lighter and lighter. And now I'm going to put the probe onto your arm as we did before.
Then Stuart turns up the heat. But although I'm aware of it, this time it isn't hurting.
And how did that feel?
Quite pleasant.
He takes the temperature as high as he can safely go, and I'm still relaxed. Then we go one step further. I asked him in advance to try driving a needle into my hand.
You won't feel anything at all.
He pushes the needle in as far as it will go. All I feel is a tugging sensation.
I'm going to pull the pin out now. You won't feel anything as it pulls out of your skin. And one. Eyes open.
Hello.
Wide awake. How did that feel?
It was fine. I mean,
Yeah?
it was interesting because when the heat probe on, it sort of felt like warm suntan lotion going on. You did actually shove the pin through.
I did, and that didn't seem to bother you.
No.
But how is this possible? And how is the pain being blocked? To find out, Stuart has been using functional magnetic resonance imaging to peer inside the brains of hypnotised subjects.
So this is a group of subjects that are receiving that same heat that you received earlier, and they're clearly activating this part of the brain here, which is called the anterior cingulate cortex. And we know from many, many studies that every time somebody reports pain, we activate this part of the brain.
It seems it's here we become aware of pain, and under hypnosis, its activity alters dramatically.
Right, so the yellow area has disappeared. Now you've got a blue area which denotes basically reduced activity.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. So if you think of this as being an area which generates pain, when you're told not to experience pain, it switches itself off, and consequently you don't feel any pain.
Although the brain is still receiving pain signals, for some reason it isn't processing them.
So how does the hypnotist actually do this?
One theory is that the hypnotist somehow divides the person's consciousness into two bits. A bit that's still experiencing the pain and a bit that isn't experiencing the pain. Other people argue that somehow the hypnotist takes control of those basic sensory processes and switches them on or switches them off. How does that work? Who knows?
Cool, right? Our mind has that much power to simply shut off our pain experience entirely. No drugs, no surgery. You don't even have to pinch yourself or deal with complex machinery. Just relax. And our mind can affect our pain, physical sensations, and even our healing in other ways. The next two linked videos focus specifically on the power of the mind, specifically through placebos.